Hi, this is BZ Rieger with the Quantum Playground, and we have Nicholas P. and Jeannie's on the phone. And
Hello?
once I do some magic with the with the video, we'll have a picture of Jeannie too. She was back late traveling and couldn't get the picture and the techno together. Anyways, we're here at the Quantum Playground, and we're doing the first of the Quantum Campfire conversations. And what that is a multi-consciousness conversation where we're looking at different questions that we have or that we've heard people ask or that we're playing with, kind of noodling around. And instead of having someone ask a question and someone per se answer the question, what we're doing is looking at playing with the question and then entertaining from all different expansive viewpoints answers to the questions, different possibilities in there, so it all flows. Because just having an answer and the only answer or the right answer is a very linear approach, and it often gets us in trouble when we're in the new higher energies and we're in ourselves are starting to have, you know, bi-locational consciousness. So you're looking at it from 2 points of view, and then you go into try, and then multi-locational, so you can clearly have a perspective where one thing is this answer. You can at the same time have another perspective that it's this answer, and a third, and so on and so forth. And so if we can get in the habit of having a broader perspective, it's first of all more fun, but it lets a whole lot of really interesting things come in. So how you doing, guys?
Wonderful.
I'm doing great.
Nicholas is kind of stoop sitting in Queens, right?
Yep. I'm over at there's a block up on my corner that's like kind of residential. So I'm just sitting outside on a beautiful New York City night.
Yep.
What's up, everyone?
All right, so let's go ahead and start. The first question that Nicholas thought to play with is how much to share. You're having conversations. So tell us a little bit about the thought of that question, and then we'll jump in with that.
I was out, hanging out with some folks over the weekend, and just the news briefly came on. And so we just started a discussion about that, basically. And I really don't try not to engage with it because of just how I see things, so to speak. And it's just the way and that was just one avenue. But then it got me thinking about just sharing, there's just so many different changes going on, like across the board. And you don't want to I don't know, I guess I'm into kind of letting people, come to their realizations and their awareness on their own. But sometimes, you can't help but say certain things that you just, not that is truth per se, but that you definitely know that things aren't what they seem.
Right.
So it's just basically how to broach that without really, I guess, I don't know what the lack of a better word is. I mean, besides being put into the crazy town lane, which I've always been in, which is fine. But, or just or scaring people even, because, some stuff that's coming out is really, it's going to blow people's minds, you know? And it's really, that's where touching upon the other question about the core values. But yeah, so it's just basically how do you, what's not the best way per se, but what are some ways that folks go about doing that? So I'm finding it, it's not a challenge, but something that I'm kind of playing with.
Cool. And Jeannie, what comes up when you hear that, with your own right now, and then in your own conversations that you're coming up with?
Well, it's funny that what he said about the crazy family, because I live there, and I am very open. I'm very much excited to share things when I connect the dots, when things, when I have epiphanies, when I uncover a new truth. Mm-hmm. I'm all about telling anyone who will listen to me. So I do have, there are some instances where I will withhold certain things because I know that the person is not ready to hear it, or they're not open to it. Mm-hmm. So I kind of use some discretion there as far as how much to share, to what depth, but my family definitely, they think I went off the rails on the crazy train about 3 decades ago.
Yeah.
So, but it's good. I know who I am, and I have great appreciation that I have come to the awareness that I have about energy and vibration and sacred geometry, and who I am, and my place in my life as a co-creator. And
Nice.
it's deeply satisfying. I have just just I don't know. I love life. I love who I am. I'm excited about where I'm at in relation to what's happening, and I have not really entertained the idea or the thought of, well, that's not true. I feel like miraculous things are possible, and I had kind of closed that down on myself when I became a single mom. And I know that magic is real and miracles can happen instantaneously. And I'm excited and I want to see that in my experience, but I feel like I don't know. I don't want to curse anything, but it'll be interesting to see how much of this shows up in my experience going forward, because I had the other night I've been kind of having lucid dreams, sleeping really lightly, and I sat up in bed in the middle of the night and I had a thought, no more programs. And I felt like someone had stuck their fingers down into my head through the back of my forehead, and it felt like the fingers were there, and it was like electricity, and then they pulled out the top of my head. So it felt like a floppy disk had been pulled out of the top of my head. It was like a really literal physical feeling. And I just laughed to myself. Wow, that was cool. So yeah, I'm open, and I had some really major things shifting in my experience. My job of 24 years told me that I'm going to have a $7 pay cut in January. And so I was out front telling my friend Robin, who's open, like we are. And I said, Robin, I'm so excited because I've been wanting to get out of this place for 23 and a half years. and now I know when it's happening. And I can't wait to see what comes up next, And then
Awesome.
BZ emails me the next day about this Zoom thing or this Campfire thing, and I'm like, oh, this is too cool.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm having lots of fun.
Yeah, it is. That's awesome.
Well, I was going to ask Nicholas, when you're and both Jeanie gave a great example. So you both have such big hearts, and they're open, and you're both of you, the colors that you emit when I connect with you, when you walk through what you're doing, when you share your story, are just out of this world. So actually, that's a great thing to be sharing, to just, be yourself in whatever interaction it is, and people will go, oh, that's kind of cool. That's a big change, because a lot of people aren't like that. A lot of people feel downtrodden or grumpy or kind of put off by all the chaos or whatever it is. So, oftentimes it isn't so much about giving a dissertation on, the deep state or the green or something like that. It's being, you guys are shining your lights, and that's a really cool way to share something, because it gets people to look in new ways.
No, absolutely. And that's really, that's exactly what Jeanie was saying about just that feeling of just almost like being free from that, just knowing that and carrying that with you every day. And I'm definitely, I would have to say, like, one of my stronger areas, which I think it's cool to hear that you can kind of just, we talked about it last time about just like holding the space and holding the light and just putting that out there, doing something that brings you joy, that'll, by extension, spread that out into your immediate area and all around you. So it's a beautiful thing, it really is.
And have you guys ever had the when you think about it, when you're connecting with people, do you ask them you might move the conversation where you're asking about them, and almost like you're looking for them to acknowledge that there is that spark of, if they go, hey, I'm magical, well, that's easy. You're off and running with that one. But if they're kind of shy in that, or, they're, well, this is wrong and this is wrong and this is wrong. And it's almost like if you get them to say, well, this is good, and you go off running, playing with that. Because I think so many times people, they're not given the chance to actually be heard. And it's kind of like they've got to move with the herd, of sheep on, oh, things are bad, or that darn, insert a political party, or that darn,
pick a side,
insert this or insert that, and instead of being able to say what they'd really like to say, because they're not certain that they're not crazy town,
Well, I do. When I listen to people, I do listen. I give them emotional air, and also I try and steer conversation. I don't try and steer them, but I try and offer positive aspects of things to look at, and I try to illuminate the good. And so, I don't directly ask them questions like, in that regard, but I definitely am uplifting in conversation. So.
Yeah, Nikki, I love the what did you say was on the emotional air?
Yes.
I love it. That's terrific. Well, and the other thing too is just by, I think that's one of the, for me, that's a really important answer to your question, Nicholas, how much to share. And it's not so much what you're sharing, but the other side of what I just said about, letting your light shine, and then also holding your energetic frequency. So if someone is on a rant, or they're only seeing the negative, that you hold where you are at that higher, faster, more expansive frequency vibration. That in itself will steer the conversation, simply because the energy of, always being down on something is not a match. And so they'll say, well, okay, great, good to see you, and they'll walk off, or you can walk off. But so that's a way to steer the conversation without having to actually direct things. And the other thing too is, like, well, did you notice, what was the most fun thing you did today? Or so it's opening their heart. And again, not so much about the political scene or the financial scene, or all those scenes out there. But people have so much to share, and it seems to me, I've encountered a lot of them where, well, what I find is, even if I have never met a person before, I just walk up and maybe they're on the street and they're a customer someplace else in a garden place, and I'm looking at plants and they're looking at plants, and before I know it, we're walking around and this person is, sharing cool stories or experiences that they've thought of, and I think it's great fun. They just, they feel in the energy that they can just strike up a conversation and share, and then they end up saying, well, this was the best, fun I had buying plants or looking at plants, and I've got these, and off they go, and they've shared some really cool things in their life and what's going on, and it seemed to change, what they were thinking of, like if maybe I can only get one plant because they don't have enough money, or I wish I had more time, it's all what they don't have, and now they're off, remembering something fondly of a garden thing or whatever it is, and so it's cool to see that.
Definitely. Excuse me.
Do you find yourself, either of you find yourselves coming into a natural conversation where there is maybe some kind of, where the other person is kind of wondering about something that they're noticed?
No, absolutely. Yeah. Just my recent roundup. I have a couple of new, just in a couple of new schools, and I just met a couple of new folks in the building, and it's like folks that I just never met before, and they were instantly just like talking and hitting it off, and being able to just share certain things, talking about like just different levels of things. But folks who are definitely folks, I think overall, I think people are just open. They sense that something is changing, or they're open to just learning more, or just seeing what this is all about. And that was kind of really nice, just to build that new connection. And also, bringing it back to just like kind of like letting your light shine, so to speak, even in the situation of like work per se, where it's like, it'd be like a stressful environment. There's a lot of changes this year in terms of new schools, new assignments, new teams, working with families that you work with for 5 years or so. And now we have like a whole new setup, but it's about just keeping that a certain vibration in a way, like no matter what happens, like we'll get through this, we'll be okay. And we'll get it done. And just kind of people seeing you not really like stress out over this, I think can kind of like go a long way to kind of helping folks as well. Almost remind them why we're there at the end of the day, because through everything we're there because we like working with people. We like helping families, even though there's all this other systematic stuff going on. That's really, we're, everybody in any field across the board is being taxed, with these enormous responsibilities, but you could still hold on to what got you there in a way. And kind of just do things to change your reactions to them, I guess. And I guess kind of like where I might like not like get up in the lunchroom and start preaching about this. I still might just do something like put on some tunes or something, or just remind people, hey, why don't you just take a quick walk, man? It's awesome weather outside, or just something like that could really just go a long way towards helping folks in these times.
Yeah, and that's it. You hit right on it, isn't it? It's about connection. It's about meeting people where they are, and then seeing where's the spark to go play, and leave that all just for a minute. Everybody can go back to their other stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Just a break in the action.
Jeanie, did you want to add anything to that before we go on to the next one?
Let's go on to the next one.
Okay. So the next one that Nicholas brought up is abilities and developing them. There's core ones. So tell us more about that, how you were feeling into that, and your description of the core ones. I want to hear that. That sounds cool.
Myself?
Yeah.
Well, for me, I think like talking about like core abilities, like we'll hear things, like, and I hear a lot, like in my travels, and and checking out different sites, and going through the portal, you just hear all these amazing abilities that folks have, and they're amazing. I love hearing about them. I may not possess them, but at the same time, we all come with abilities of our own. But I'm thinking about mine, per se, in terms of like the WLUV, where I'm pumping out like all this, the joy that I get from music through my heart, through the train, through everywhere, through my office, like through my walks through the hood, or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, for me, the core ones for me are that we all have. So everybody has these is forgiveness and love. There's no way I'd be able to even, carry that without doing that. And it's something that took me some time to kind of come to terms with and to kind of really think about. But I was kind of just playing with that today about like, there's so many different abilities out there, but I think at the core, those two, I think love, is the source of everything, of course, but also that forgiveness too, because I think it's kind of hand in hand. It's a way of almost like loving yourself. That's just for anybody who's ever been through anything, everything, we've all come through, experiences and challenges, and it's all how we react to them. And plenty, people react different ways, but just for me personally, that forgiveness was huge in terms of expanding my heart overall.
Yeah. Very true. And, it's interesting because I heard a couple of people, they were thinking about abilities, and they were thinking, I don't know, maybe they got magic sneakers and you're flying around. And then there was a kind of a pause when you mentioned forgiveness, and almost like, well, they hadn't thought about it that way. But if you don't have forgiveness, or you have trouble forgiving, and so you're stuck on that, well, that'd be a pretty cool superpower to have, because it opens everything up again. It changes how, for yourself, for everyone else. So one of the things I think that's really cool just so far in touching on this this question
Mhm.
and this whole topic is that everybody has a different feel on the abilities. And
Mhm.
you mentioned you've heard of or watched or seen or heard people talk about other abilities
Mhm.
they have that are very cool, and you may not have them. But my guess is not the right word. My knowing is that we all do a lot of these
Sure.
different ones.
Mhm.
But since we're kind of looking over there
I
at
thought, yeah, I thought about that as you were saying that. Like, we
looking
definitely, yeah,
on
we all,
this or
yeah,
that, you know.
yeah, yeah.
For example, you talk with WLV with what you're doing with the music.
Mhm.
Well, that's a whole energy frequency. So that's a way to amplify your transmitting of your open heart and that
Mhm.
whole frequency vibration that you're on. So,
Mhm.
who's this, and who made up this list anyway? So who's to say
Mhm.
not, there's the tune ability, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Nice. You're awesome.
Jeanie.
Yes.
So tell us about some of your playing with abilities.
Well, I love what he said about forgiveness and love, and I love what you said about it as well, because that, if you can't be in a place of forgiveness and love, you're me. I'll just speak for myself.
Mhm.
I just, life does not go well. Relationships are strained. There's stress and upset, and I personally lived, and I know everybody's had their own cross to bear, so to speak. But from my experience, I would say that all of the things that I've been through that are so difficult have caused me to know in my heart and soul what I prefer. And there are so many things in life that we like and we enjoy, but when it comes right down to it, being at peace in my own heart and soul, having let go of all of my offenses and even forgiving myself.
Yeah.
I've so harshly judged myself because that was the program that I grew up in, and I am, and I think, quite frankly, I think that's the program that was pulled out of my brain the other night.
Mhm.
Cool. Very
Nice.
So I love myself. I am at ease. I'm at peace. I don't look in the mirror and criticize and tear myself down anymore. I love who I am. Moving through my day, I see other people, and my heart goes out to them for whatever they may be experiencing. But I'm noticing more of a freedom to more easily love and accept myself in every moment of my life. And and when I appreciate things, I am aware of being in the flow. I'm aware of the magic of life happening. And
Mhm.
it's some things are so simple, but I see, like, I'll have a thought about something I don't care that much about, and then, like, the next day it'll be fixed, and I just laugh out loud because I see the universe responding to my desires.
Yes.
And so I'm really thankful that have forgiven myself, in the sense that there's some things personally that I've really wanted to be different, and because I have been such a chronic focuser of the negative towards myself, I've created, something that I really don't want. And it's really hard to not notice my body every day,
Mhm.
or my financial situation every day.
Mhm.
And so I have gradually worked, in my experience, the ability to completely shift. Well, I won't say completely because I feel like it's still happening, but to shift my attitude, my awareness, my focus, my you know, my feeling to really loving what is. Even if something shows up that I don't really like, I just say, well, it is what it is, and love it, and just I'm seeing everything change. It's like the magic that I
Awesome.
used to believe in was instantaneous, which I have experienced instantaneous, miraculous physical healing 30 years ago. But I'm seeing it happen at a slower pace, at a steady pace. And you know, when I do have a bad experience, in the moment I lose my temper or something, which is very rare anymore. But if something happens that hurts me or hurts one of my family, and I get angry in the moment, then like right away something else will happen that I really don't like, and I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. It's all is well. I forgive you. You know. So I would say that my magic is just having the ability to be more in the moment, to be more appreciating of life, to be more loving of myself and what I've created for me. And I noticed that it's easy for me to be kind and courteous and polite to other people. And I also notice, you know, what comes back to me as far as how other people treat me. And it's just little things like a coworker, you know, saying something sweet, and it's like, well, that person it's not typically behave that way, but that's really cool that they just did that towards me, you know? And so I guess I would say I have the ability to see the magic of life flowing.
Awesome.
Well, you know, what you said is really cool because, again, it's another, just like what Nicholas said, it's you're noticing, you're giving focus and attention to the quote unquote little things, yet they really are they're like little magic wands. And when you pick them up and you pay attention to them and you watch the flow and you're in the flow with them, you can then go, you know, well, here we go. You can go bing, bing, bing with your wand, and all of these new things come from that connection. So come from that noticing, come from that being in the flow. And as you said, Jeanie, sometimes maybe they're not instant, but they're happening more and more. They're happening all over the place. Well, so your whole life is now reflecting that magic in every pocket, and it keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Yes.
Nice.
Woo! It's so fun! Oh, I got goosebumps from head to toe.
I'd say that's an ability that, you know, everybody would think is pretty cool to have. And
absolutely,
you both touched on too the idea that with love and the forgiveness, for me, I would add in as one of those cores gratitude. That's almost another way you could describe those, not only as abilities, but they're like, and I can feel the energy running in my hand when I hold it and say this, is they're like a charging platform for all of your other abilities. You know, when you're in the flow of those, they really, you know, charge out in expansive, really colorful, you know, effervescent ways, all of your abilities that you have. Ones that you don't have, ones that you have no idea that you have, ones that you're finally notice that you're doing something and go, oh, look at that. Hey, I didn't know I could do that. That's, you know, that's my polka dot ability, and it's really cool.
I am really having fun with my rainbow ability. I took a little, I have a friend who does bioenergetic healing, and I went to see her, I don't know, a few months ago, and she has these little cards, and I picked one, and it said, notice the subtle changes. And it was this woman hanging out laundry, and she had like a rainbow tie-dye dress on, and, you know, just lots of color. And I have been lately putting lots of color into my space, my personal space. And just subtly, slowly. And I look around in my wardrobe. There's so many, like all the colors of the rainbow in my wardrobe. Paintings on my wall. I've got a, dream catcher, chakra. Like all of them hanging in a row from purple to red. So in nature, I just absolutely love nature. Just, I am in awe. I can stare at the sky for hours, and the ocean and the mountains and everything. I'm so much of an appreciator of nature. And, I know that according to the television, there's a lot of bad stuff that happens in the world. And I know I don't say that lightly, because I know that people are really suffering, and that breaks my heart. But I also believe that the love that we have in the three of us, the love and the energy that the three of us are holding right now, is enough to heal all.
Yes.
And so for those of us on this planet who are still suffering, all it takes is to look within, to love themselves and feel from their heart. And I feel like a lot of people that are in those situations are doing that. I mean, I know I was able to do it when I was going through my stuff. So I just feel like all is well. I just do. And I'm seeing evidence of it everywhere.
Yes. And, beautifully said. And maybe that for someone who's new to the idea of abilities, playing with them, noticing them in themselves, to hold that as an ability, because to fall in love with yourself again, to even, deign the idea that that's cool to do, takes some getting used to. It takes some time to do that. And so stepping in to that, is, and when you hone it, that's a really powerful ability, a really cool superpower, because it changes everything. It changes everything for you when you're doing it. It changes everything for everybody who's in connection with you, and as you said, Jeanie, the three of us right here in this energetic envelope that we've opened up, and what we're holding for ourselves, what we're creating right here, and what we're emitting out into the consciousness of all, is
right.
Is adding to that stream of things changing and things expanding.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Wow.
It's pretty
Thank
cool.
you for inviting me.
Yeah, thank you. This is amazing. I just have to share this with you guys. I'm sitting here like on a bench, like facing a bush, and in the time that we've been talking, a spider built a web around me. This is pretty fantastic. Literally wrapped around my head. I'm just like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm like, I can't leave now. I don't want to break his work up. That's hilarious. I'm sorry, dude.
Oh.
Okay, wait. Okay. Sorry. Unbelievable.
You called in Spider-Man in this.
Yeah, exactly. Talking about abilities, right? He's like, look at this, That's so funny.
Cool. All right. So
anyway.
Anybody else want to say anything more on abilities? And then we're going to go to what Jeanie brought in.
No.
Are there, one thing, I have a question, Sheila and Lisa and I have joked about this, about telepathy, and where, you can Google it and you can look these up, and so we think it's done a certain way. And I remember when we first talked about that, that's Keegan playing in the background. When we first talked about this together, I said to them, well, it doesn't have to come in that way. It can come in your own way, and you'll meet it and you'll know it. And so I think maybe the thing that I would add on the finish of playing with the abilities tonight is that there are no caps. And yes, we all have core abilities. We all have a whole host of abilities that we may or may not have already started playing with. But we're creators. So part of this whole change that we are are leading on the leading edge of, which affects all of Source's multiverses, we can all create new abilities that heretofore were not in existence, because that's what we do. So in other words, that's another way to say, don't say, well, I can't do this, this, or this, because those are abilities and they're on this list. You know, make up your own. Let your own shine through, because that's how those other ones got there. Someone said, that's what I'm.
Sure.
So Jeanie, you had mentioned about your value, and you wanted to play with that. So tell us a little bit more about that questioning and how that's coming for you and how you're playing with it.
Oh boy. Wow. Well, I know that the love within my being is the most valuable, most powerful thing ever. And I also know that we are all one in that. We all are. And my experience has been I basically have lived by faith. I've lived very low income. At times in my experience, I've been on, food stamps, and when my daughter was a baby, and basically live like most people these days, from my perspective, paycheck to paycheck. Mm-hmm. And I have been following Heather, what she did with the One People's Public Trust and the factualized trust document. I actually I accessed those accounts. I have documentation that's happened, and I've also invested in something that a lot of the same community is looking for a revaluation of. Mm-hmm. And there's talk of, when you change or redeem or whatever your investment, you're going to end up with this much money or whatever, and I was actually on a call several months ago, and I don't know if either one of you know who Joseph is, but I spoke with him, and we were talking about, it's about time to exchange, and I said, I intend to walk in with my head held high, the courageous woman that I am, and do this thing. Mm-hmm. And the number in my, that my heart said when I was thinking about doing my exchange was limitless. I have unlimited abundance when this happens. And so the thing that's funny to me is that I am that abundance. I don't need to go exchange this thing or do this or that, because all that I need constantly comes to me as long as I love myself and love other people. It's just amazingly simple.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But so it's also the best, well, it's not hidden anymore, but it was a very fiercely guarded secret, and all the programming and conditioning is to keep us from waking up to that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I know. And my life has been all about seeking that truth, and I am so thankful and so appreciate me for doing what I've done to be open and have integrity and search for truth and do the hard things and embrace the things that I know in my heart are true, but other people are saying, oh, you're crazy, you're you're part of a cult, or you're a tinfoil hat wearer, whatever,
Yeah, it's all good.
So, yeah,
we're the open-hearted cult, and
yeah,
we ride down the river of love, and that's where we hold it. Exactly. It works for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
and that's the thing. It's like, it's so, the truth. is so intuitive and blissfully easy to embrace in your heart when you allow yourself to move with your heart and through your heart. But when you know, it goes against the grain of I was raised Catholic. Like, you must work hard, you must struggle, all these baloney ideas that we grew up just believing were so good and so solid and so noble, and it's like, no thank you. I know better, and that's what I do. I share this awareness with anyone and everyone. I share it through my actions, I share it through my love, I share it through my conversation, through my listening to them, through my, embracing and sending out, heart hugs as I walk by strangers without saying a word. I feel such expansive bliss and love in my heart right now. I love all, and I am so appreciating knowing what I know, and so desirous to share this beautiful truth with everyone and help them to wake up to the beauty of who they are, and to help them forgive themselves and set themselves free of all of the mind clutter, and just just teach them, just breathe. It's okay. Just breathe. Everything's all right. All is well.
Yeah, and you guys have both in your own ways said something that I want to really highlight here, and that is that it's so simple if we let it be simple.
Yes.
It just is innate to us, whether it's Nicholas is doing his music, or the way that he engages with the staff, or the new kids and parents and all that kind of stuff. It's innate. It it's complex. It isn't this this thing where you're gonna have this chart of accounts and okay, I check this and I plug this in here, and that, I think, is one of the things that makes it so bloody confusing, and kind of feels like it's this mystery out there for people to navigate, because this whole convoluted, we got to do this and this and this and this and this and this and this stuff is how we've been taught. And wait a minute, I just have to actually just take a breath for a moment, let go for a moment. I can pick up the worry in a minute, but let go for a moment and focus on just opening my heart and use whatever tool that is. It could be looking at the clouds. It could be walking with the trees. It could be, marveling some really cool building in the city. And there are some really cool buildings. So that someone created that. Hey, someone thought about that. Someone created that. That's sublimely beautiful. So there are all these things all around us to engage in, and it's not alive and functioning anymore. It's crumbling down. But there was the system that was blocking us at every turn, and it really is each being at this moment that's a superpower to call in, to say, no, I don't choose that anymore. I choose love, and I actually choose the simple, because in the true simple, there's incredible power and incredible diversity of all sorts of tools and skills and all sorts of things.
Yes.
That are just wonderful. So, Nicholas, what about you? Have something you want to share on the phrase of my value and how you're holding that?
Just that knowing. Just when your heart's open, when you're living in love, non-judgment, forgiving, gratitude. I forgot that I put the core values as well before. But yeah, I've also did that investment as well, and I was holding on to that really tightly. And so one day on one of my walks, I had it with me. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to revow. So I took it to the place and I revaled, and it was great. The best $21 I ever got, man. It was fantastic. So for that specific day, I was like, so it just felt so good because I was just so like wrapped up in that. But I'm like, I don't need to go to that. I'm just like, okay, now what? So that was just like, you're worth so much more than that. And you have that inherently in you. But for those, and should that come to pass, that's fantastic. But as far as holding on to that, it's something that I had to really work through, because I mean, like a lot of folks, a lot of those walks are because I have to take them, but turned it into love because I'm going through the forest, I'm walking through nature trails, I'm finding new places to kind of get to where I need to. I'm learning about the neighborhoods of the places where I'm serving. So it all serves a greater purpose, and I know that that'll take care of itself. And I'm not holding on to that too much.
That's really cool. Really cool. It makes me think of something that happened to me many years ago. I was at one of these big seminars, I guess, and they told us, I don't remember the focus, but it was probably part of it was small business and part of it was, being expansive. Anyways, they said, well, tomorrow I want everybody to bring in a $50 bill, because we're going to do a whole exercise. And they built it up, and so everybody, that was their homework assignment. It was a 2-day thing. You came in the next day with a $50 bill. Okay, great. At the time, I didn't have a lot of money, and so bringing in a $50 bill was a little bit of a stretch, and then the whole conference. Anyways, so they had about an hour and a half where they were dealing with this $50 bill, taking it out, and we're talking about value and talking about what it meant to you. And they started right up front of this whole exercise, we'll say, that the culmination was you were going to tear the $50 bill in half. So, talk about lighting up the room. Oh my goodness. People were like, some people said, well, I'm leaving. I'm not going to, and it was so fascinating. And some people realized fairly quickly, and some people never got there, and some people took them a while. But this was actually an exercise in integrating all of that attachment, all of that kind of paying the false god of value external to yourself, and look at all of the energy that you're spending in this, and what could you have done and created with, these are my words on my take on it. And I remember it was about 20 minutes, half an hour into it, and I thought, well, I'm cutting the $50 and I'm tearing it up, because I realize now, in going through this process, it will be the best investment, and return on my investment that I could possibly make. Anyways, and so I came to that conclusion, and I was full in that knowing, and then I went through the rest of the thing, and to me it was funny, and I think there was a couple of people, not a lot of us, but a couple of people who felt the same way. At the end, they said, okay, we're done. And you don't have to cut up your $50 bill, and those of us who'd firmly, we wait a minute, we want to cut it. But I bring it up because it was a great, there was probably 150 people in the room. Wow. All walks of life, all part of different parts of the country. And so that's this pervasive thing that we have been programmed with, conditioned with, trained and retrained, and we've done that ourselves. I mean, we're all completely complicit in that. And so if we can, that's a great ability too, to where that you are the value, which you are. I mean, it's pre-paid, pre-approved, pre-authorized. Everything is. And that comes from with us. We are the self-genesis of all of this. Because the out there doesn't get out there until we put it out there. Whether we characterize it as good or bad, that's how we're doing it. But it's a really cool realization to come to, that you guys have shared, and that I came to as well, that I have so much going on for myself, and I have so much to give, and when I connect with others, we create amazing things. We can create tangible things, we can create energetic things, we can actually create things that move on, that people can encounter either in that moment or sometime in the future, and it makes a difference in their lives as well. So I'd say that's something that's pretty valuable, and that's a put it in linear terms, that's a commodity. That's a because you hear, well, you got to get a job, you got to be a productive member of society. Well, the way that we're talking about it, that's an incredibly productive member of the community, rather than, I wouldn't phrase it as a community, because if we all did that, if we all knew that, we would be creating tangible, intangible, and expansive things all over the place. I mean, we would wholesale change the way that each neighborhood looked and felt and flowed, each city, each town, and so on and so forth, however you want to hold that. That's a lot of value added, metric-based value to use business terms that we, in ways we could look at.
Absolutely.
Yep.
But they don't ever teach us that.
No. That's part of what I want to do. I want to teach that.
Cool.
Nice.
Cool. Well, again, and that's part of sharing, isn't it? If these things that really spark our heart, Nicholas has mentioned a bunch, Jeannie's mentioned a bunch, I've mentioned some here and there, and that's a way to share, because that's in my opinion, a far better, more expansive road on sharing something than, well, hey, did you hear the latest on Kavanaugh or this, that, and the other thing? Because that gets us where we want to go a lot faster. Because that's actually the headline. that we're creative beings, and when we ride the river of love, we can build, create, bring to materialized state anything that we want or think about or co-create.
Yes, anything.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's something else. The way of the world, for example, people often ask, so where do you see yourself in 6 months or a year? And I've never really been able to answer that question because I've known that life is, not certain. Things can change. I can make plans, and they don't necessarily come through. So, just for me personally, I'm really becoming okay with the uncertainty of the future, because it just is, and change is inevitable, and I know that I'm in the driver's seat. So as long as I can keep myself, as long as I stop working against myself by getting up in my head and worrying and all that other stuff, as long as I can stay in my heart and trust and do my best and put the good vibes out there, I know that whatever comes is going to be fine. And even if there's something I don't like about it, that will all, everything works together for good, in my opinion. And there's always a silver lining, no matter what comes. So to worry, to focus on something and worry about it, like, for example, my personal situation with my job, it's like, certain people that I know, if they were my circumstances, they'd be really freaking out right now. Right. But I'm excited because this is a huge opportunity for the universe to just knock my socks off, and for me to be doing in my next season of life something fun, something I'm passionate about, something that is really going to make a difference. Instead of sitting in a dank basement crunching numbers for, right. I'll be doing something fun and productive and passionate, and I don't know, just so as long as I focus within and know my value in my heart and let that flow through my experience. Whatever unknown future may be, it's all good from my perspective.
Yeah, very cool. Beautifully said. And what I noticed is actually you do know it. Maybe not on the, when you're writing your linear brain cognizing, but look at the key powerful phrases that you used, and I could certainly feel the energy shift and actually kind of really highlight when you said those phrases that, I'm the driver here, and that I'm creating these different things, and I'm staying in my heart, and I know that I can bring amazing things. You also, one of the last things that I'm kind of paraphrasing here, you were mentioning how you're really excited about this change, and yes, you kind of turned sideways for a minute and said other people would think, I'm nuts and freaking out, but I'm really excited about this. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because in that you've highlighted that's
Hello?
yeah, hi.
Hey, sorry about that. My battery died. I'm like a kiosk.
That's
You gotta
okay.
let it sit. Sorry. Okay.
That's okay. So you highlighted that's the energetic frequency that you're carrying. That's the predominant vibration. And that's the neighborhood that you're hanging out in. And that neighborhood that you're hanging out in is this expansive, I'm the driver, I'm in the love river, and I've got this, and spectacular things are flying, my way because the universe is bringing it to me. Well, that's a pretty nice neighborhood to be in.
Yes. It feels good. It's the feel-good neighborhood, and I want to live here forever.
Yeah, and we do that by choice, and we material. The other thing, some people, I just heard someone said, well, but you need to have the money to do the stuff. That's what we've been taught. That's a fallacy that we've been taught. And we're always, and we've been taught it in such a way that it's a self-perpetuating fallacy. So you keep raising prices, and you give nobody any time to go within, any time to have a moment to breathe, any time to be out of chaos. And because they're always chasing the dollar, because you got to have the dollar to go here. And you realize when you stop doing that you may go down in your amount of dollars for a moment, but the richness in all of the rest of your life expands exponentially. And then, hey, look at that. The different things to, whether it's money or abilities that you have to bring the things that you want in a tangible way into your life show up, and you can't stop them from showing up. That's the cool thing.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Yes.
So Nicholas, I know you missed part of that. We were just playing with the last of the value, and anything you want to add around how you flow in the world with that, or if for those who are not flowing, not quite certain how to flow with knowing that you're the value as you do, and your heart being open, because there anything that you might want to share with them?
Just that I something that I have to, just remind myself, that you are the value. It's really important to just, remember that, and that no one can take that from you. And that's basically every system. It's kind of set up from the beginning where you're starting from a point of like not worthy, or, you're a worthless sinner, you're this or that, but at the same time, you are the worth, and you are, you have so many abilities and gifts, and the jig is up. I mean, we're aware of that now. And now it's just about creating, but with that strength, using that as your armor almost. And I'm not saying it's easy at all, but you find love in it, honestly. And that's really, I posted one of those.
Oh, come back, Nicholas.
Oh, no.
Well, I can still see his phone there, but we lost his audio. If you can hear us,
you might have hit the mute button.
we've lost. He's walking down the street. He's decided it's kind of dark out there now.
Oh.
Oh, Nicholas, come back. No. Okay, well, I think he blew the phone circuits out. He was on a roll. He was really expanding. Okay, cool. Well, it has been so much fun to play with you guys around this campfire. Like I said, I've got to get my little outside propane campfire going so we can have it next time. But I'm thrilled that you could play, and I love you so much, Jeanie and Nicholas. And
You.
I hope you'll come back and we'll play again.
That would be delightful. I've absolutely enjoyed it, and it was perfect timing for me and my boosting my my sparklers for what's coming next. When I saw that you texted me that we were doing this, I just laughed out loud and I said, "She felt it too."
I did.
Yes, you did. Thank you. Thank you.
Very cool. All right. Well, much love to both you guys, and Jeanie and Nicholas. I hope you're both going to write some more stuff and send it to me to post, because everybody loves it on the IUV. So always happy.
Yeah, I love it. It's fun. Thank you for allowing and facilitating. I do appreciate you.
Cool. All right. Well, you guys have a good night, and we'll see you around the quantum multiverses.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Love you. Bye.